Quick question.
Pew, pew.
Why is fentanyl so dangerous? I know I look like the world's worst undercover cop and sound like a guidance counselor right now,
Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
but luckily this is not an avenue where you have to take my word for it.
We now lose more people to drug overdoses than we do from car accidents and gun violence combined. And even though these incidents are spiking across all demographic groups, the single biggest spike over the past year alone has been amongst 18 to 24-year-olds. Experts agree that this spike is almost entirely driven by one substance, fentanyl.
And the freaky part is that many of the people who OD did not know they were consuming fentanyl in the first place, which sounds like a scare tactic, but in reality, 2 of 5 counterfeit pills seized in the US have a deadly amount of fentanyl in them, which is that much. And that's a penny for scale.
If you're not familiar, fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, meaning that it exists in the same family as street drugs like heroin, as well as prescription painkillers like morphine, hydrocodone, oxycodone, and methadone. What makes it different, however, is the potency, which is anywhere between 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. Initially, it was developed in 1959 as an anesthetic and pain reliever in hospital settings, but it wasn't until the opioid epidemic that its use really started to skyrocket. Because it takes so little to get someone high, it's become the most cost-effective opioid to manufacture. And because it's synthetic, it also doesn't require manufacturers to put time, effort, or risk into growing any plants to produce raw materials. It's also a highly versatile drug in that you're able to ingest it via injection, a patch you put on your skin, a lozenge you suck on, a nasal spray, blotter paper, as well as the powder form it's most commonly sold in on the street. And that's when it's not being sold in counterfeit versions of prescription pills like Percocet, oxycodone, Adderall, Xanax, and so on. And it's not just being sold on its own, it's also being mixed in with other substances.
But while the versatility of the drug explains why it's so widely used, why would anyone include something in their products that could potentially kill their customers? Here's the thing though. Remember how we said earlier that fentanyl can be between 50 and 100 times stronger than morphine? That's a pretty wide margin. That's because it's apparently really hard to control the strength of the fentanyl that you create outside of a very strict lab setting. So it's not like they're trying to kill you, they're just only able to really use their best guess as to how strong their stuff is.
The good news is that not only do fentanyl test strips exist, they are remarkably easy to use. You can even use them in the middle of a festival. All you need is a strip, some of the substance in question, and depending on what you're testing, you might need a cup with some water. If you're testing a powder, all you need is just the tiniest little bit, not even a key bump. You don't even need that much. That's already too much. If you are testing a pill, it is recommended that you at least attempt to break it open just so that you're not testing the outer coating. Get a little bit of that in here. If you're testing a liquid, guess what? You don't need to do any of this. But if you are testing a pill or a powder, you're gonna need just a little bit of water. As a pro tip, you can also, if you don't want to waste any of it, you can just test the bag, the residue of the bag that it comes in, a nice little 1/4 inch of water. We're going to just swirl it up. We are going to uncap this bad boy, and we're going to shove this in for about 15 seconds, which is about the same length of time as a lot of viral TikTok audio. So let me perform one of my personal favorites for all of you. Here we go.
I don't have a sugar daddy. I've never had a sugar daddy. If I wanted a sugar daddy, yes, I probably could go out and get one because I am what? Sickening. You could never have a sugar daddy because you are not that kind of girl. Baby, everything I've had, I've worked for and I've gotten myself. I built myself from the ground up.
Gets me every time. Now that we've dipped it, we're going to wait for 5 minutes.
5 minutes later.
And boom, here's my result. 2 lines is negative, 1 is a positive, so my is safe. And the good news is, depending on where you live, these can be available fairly easy and at no cost to you. The bad news is, depending on what state you live in, these can be considered paraphernalia, which makes them a lot harder to get.
No matter where you live though, spreading the word can help those with access use this life-saving tool and those without access to lobby their state and local governments for greater access to these and other harm reduction tools. After all, focusing on strategies like harm reduction and rehabilitation have shown to succeed in combating these issues where the war on drugs has not. So share this info to help combat the stigma and possibly save a life.